Elon Musk Autobiography Series. Episode 1, From Pretoria to Silicon Valley. June 28, 1971, 7:30 a.m., Pretoria, South Africa. The jacaranda trees were not yet in bloom. Apartheid South Africa hummed with the quiet violence of separate entrances, razor wire fences, and the low roar of segregation. Inside a modest brick house on Blanco Street, May Musk, 23 years old, Canadian-born model and dietitian, was screaming through the final minutes of labor. At exactly 7:30 a.m., Elon Reeve Musk entered the world. Family legend insists the newborn didn't cry the way other Bobbies do. He opened his eyes wide, stared at the ceiling as if already calculating load-bearing tolerances, and then went quiet. The midwife laughed and told May, "This one is different." He was. As we proceed, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Chapter 1, The House That Equations Built. Elon Musk, Elon's father, was a brilliant, handsome, and deeply unstable electrical-mechanical engineer who could design a hydroelectric dam before breakfast and pilot his own Cessna by lunch, and terrify his children by dinner. He once co-owned an emerald mine in Zambia, flew there in his own plane to collect stones, and returned with tailies that sounded like Indiana Jones rewritten by a psychopath. May Musk was the counterbalance. Elegant, disciplined, beautiful enough to appear on the covers of Vogue long after most models retire. She fed the family on peanut butter sandwiches when money ran short and worked 5 jobs while raising 3 children alone after the divorce. Between these two magnetic poles spun Elon, Kimball, born 13 months later, and Tosca a few years after that. The house was full of books, encyclopedias stacked to the ceiling, science fiction paperbacks with cracked spines, textbooks on relativity and thermodynamics. Emotional warmth was rationed. Intellectual intensity was mandatory. By age 6, Elon had read the entire children's section of the local library and moved on to the adult nonfiction. By 9, he had finished every volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica. When other children asked for toys, Elon asked for a computer. Chapter 2, The Green Glow of the VIC-20. In 1981, Errol brought home a Commodore VIC-20 with 5 kilobytes of RAM and a tape drive that sounded like a dying cat. The manual was 200 pages long. Elon read it in 2 days. 3 days later, he was writing basic code. 1 month later, he had taught himself everything the machine could do. At 12, he wrote Blastar, a space shooter with 167 lines of machine code that was surprisingly competent for a preteen in apartheid South Africa. He mailed it to PC, an office technology magazine. They published it and sent him a check for $500. $519.83 US was an obscene amount of money to a 12-year-old in Pretoria. Elon framed the check. Then he immediately spent the cash on comics and candy, because even geniuses are still children. Chapter 3, The Concrete Stairs. Pretoria Boys High School was a brutal place. All-male, rugby-obsessed, hierarchical. Elon was skinny, pale, soft-spoken, and spoke with a faint Canadian lilt from summers spent with relatives in Saskatchewan. He was the perfect target. The worst incident happened when he was 13. A gang of older boys cornered him on the concrete stairs between buildings. They threw him down an entire flight, then kicked him in the head and body until he lost consciousness. His face swelled so badly he was unrecognizable. He spent a week in hospital with a broken nose and bruising that turned purple, then yellow, then green. He never told his parents the full story. He simply stopped talking about school. From that day forward, Elon lived more inside his head than in the physical world. Books, computers, and imaginary futures became armor. Chapter 4, The Man Who Was Evil in Almost Every Way. Years later, in a 2017 Rolling Stone interview, Elon would say of his father, "He's a strange guy. He's done almost every evil thing you could possibly think of, almost every crime you can think of. He's done it. The stories are dark and plentiful. Psychological manipulation, financial schemes, sudden rages. Errol once forced 10-year-old Elon and Kimball to sit for hours while he verbally tore them apart. Another time, he shot a man in a bar fight and walked away unscathed. When Elon was 8, the marriage finally detonated. May packed the 3 kids into a tiny apartment. Money was so scarce they sometimes ate on the floor because there was no table. May modeled in the evenings, worked as a dietitian during the day, and studied for 2 master's degrees at night. Elon watched her and learned a lesson that would define him. Resilience is not optional. Chapter 5: The Decision. At 17, every South African male faced a choice. 2 years of mandatory military service enforcing apartheid, or leave the country forever. Elon chose exile. In June 1988, with $2,000 sewn into the lining of his suitcase by May and a Canadian passport through his mother's citizenship, he boarded a plane to Montreal. He told customs he was visiting cousins. There were no cousins. There was no plan beyond. Get to the United States, where people actually build the future. Chapter 6: The Coldest Welcome. He landed in Montreal in the middle of a Canadian winter, wearing a thin jacket and carrying 1 suitcase. For the first week, he slept in youth hostels and ate 2 hot dogs a day because they were the cheapest calories available. He worked any job he could find, shoveling grain in a barn until his hands bled, cleaning out industrial boilers wearing a makeshift hazmat suit in 50 degrees C heat until he vomited from the fumes, cutting logs on a cousin's farm in Saskatchewan for $18 a day, $10 after room and board. He lasted 3 weeks at the boiler job before quitting. "I figured I'd rather die of starvation than that," he later said. Eventually, he made it to Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, on a scholarship. He studied physics and economics because, as he put it, physics teaches you how the universe works. Economics teaches you how people work. Together, you can maybe figure out how to make the future better. At Queen's, he was already a legend. He threw massive house parties. 500 people crammed into a 3-bedroom house, charging $5 a head, calculating profit margins while standing at the door in complete deadpan. He tutored, built and sold custom PCs, and dated a beautiful aspiring writer named Justine Wilson. But Queen was never the destination. After 2 years, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League, Wharton School of Business, and a physics degree from the College of Arts and Sciences. Chapter 7: The Condemned House and the McLaren That Died. At Penn, Elon lived in a 10-bedroom house with friends, turning it into a speakeasy on weekends, charging cover, selling drinks, making thousands in cash per night. One party got so out of control the fire marshal shut it down, and the house was condemned the next week. Senior year, Elon and a friend rented an empty office for $300 a month and slept there on futons surrounded by computer parts. He graduated in 1997 with 2 degrees and a reputation for being the intense South African guy who never sleeps. He was accepted into a prestigious PhD program in applied physics and materials science at Stanford, focused on ultracapacitors for electric vehicles. He flew to California in the summer of 1995, rented an apartment in Palo Alto, and prepared to start in the fall. Then August 9, 1995 happened. Netscape went public. A web browser company, worth nothing tangible, opened at $28, spiked to $75 in hours, closed at $58. Market cap, $2.9 billion overnight. Elon watched the ticker tape on a library computer. Something electric shot through him, the same feeling he'd had reading Foundation at age 10. 2 days after arriving at Stanford, he dropped out. The PhD could wait, the internet could not. Chapter 8, Come Out Here, We're Going to Be Rich. He called his brother Kimball in Canada. Come out here, we're going to start a company. Kimball arrived with $6,000 in traveler's checks and a duffel bag. They rented a 2,000-square-foot office in Palo Alto for $800 a month and slept on beanbags. One computer, one desk, mini fridge full of Mountain Dew and leftover pizza. They showered at the local YMCA and ate on a $1 a day budget. Hot dogs, pasta, oranges. Their idea, Zip2, digital city guides with maps. In 1995, if you wanted to find a restaurant, you opened a paper Yellow Pages and then a paper map and prayed. Zip2 would put both online and make them clickable. Elon coded like a man possessed. He wrote almost the entire stack himself. Front-end, back-end, mapping algorithms, database. He slept under his desk. Investors who came for Demos would find him crawling out, hair exploding in 17 directions, eyes red, to demo a product that was already better than anything else on the nascent web. In 1996, they raised $3 million from Mower Davidoff Ventures at a $20 million pre-money valuation. Overnight, 24-year-old Elon was a paper millionaire. He bought his first real bed. He bought a broken-down 1978 BMW 320i that spent weeks fixing it himself. Company grew meteorically. Deals with the New York Times, Chicago Tribune, Hearst, newspapers terrified of the internet throwing money at anyone who could help them survive. But success brought politics. The VCs decided 27-year-old Elon, who still occasionally slept in the office, was too young and too weird to be CEO. They brought in a professional CEO with a suit and an MBA. Elon was demoted to CTO. He seethed quietly. Dreams start small. Sometimes they start with a 10-year-old hunch over a flickering green screen in a quiet suburb of Pretoria, typing lines of code that will one day echo across Mars. To be continued. Next episode, All In, the near-death birth of SpaceX and Tesla, 2002-2008. The story of how Elon almost lost everything, twice, and still changed the world forever. If this moved you, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell, and let me know in the comments. What part of Elon's early story hit you the hardest for you? See you in the next one.